My next guest took part in immigration talks at the White House just last week. Joining me right now is Senator David Perdue of Georgia. Good to have you here, Senator.
Good morning, Trish.
Is he right? Do the Democrats not really want DACA?
Well, the evidence is they've been trying to do this for a number of years without any success. 3 times in the last 11 years, we've tried to solve this immigration issue. But the president's been very clear that any solution to DACA must include border security, including the wall, an end of chain migration, and an end of this diversity visa lottery. What we had last week were 2 meetings at the White House. The president's very engaged in this issue, just like he was on tax. I'm hopeful that we have now opposing proposals that will allow us to get some symmetry in this negotiation. In my business experience, that's how you get to deals. And I still think we have a possibility to do that. Look, 72% of Americans want this to happen. They want to end chain migration. They want immigration limited to the worker, the spouse, and the immediate children in that family. And I think what we're going to do here is see, once we get past the funding deadline, which should have nothing to do with DACA, we'll move on to hopefully a bipartisan solution to DACA and our immigration system.
Yeah, but you know, when it comes to the solution, you point out your business experience. I mean, you got to negotiate, right? One side has to offer up something, the other side has to offer up something, and the impression we're certainly getting, at least out of the left, is that they are not willing to allow one single dollar to go to a so-called wall, because the wall symbolizes everything that they, well, dislike about our president.
Well,
so how are you going to get there?
This is outrageous, actually. That it's a gross distraction away from the issue. The issue is this. The Democrats have tried for years. In the Dreamer Act in 2013, Schumer and Durbin both talked about ending parts of chain migration. So we're doing things that the Democrats have voted for and have supported in the past. Just in the 90s, under Bill Clinton, we had a presidential commission actually recommend an end to chain migration and move to a merit-based immigration system, more based on who you are and not where you're from. And so this is a point where most of the things we're talking about, Democrats have actually voiced some support for over time. The problem now is you've got the politics involved in Washington. That's what's so frustrating to all of us out here in the real world.
Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, watching that meeting, by the way, that was exciting to see. I got to tell you, just as a bystander, watching that whole thing. You were in on the meeting, correct? I mean, it was...
I was in both meetings last week in the White House, and I got to tell you, the president was pillared because he made it open to the public. I mean, this was the most open and transparent dialogue that we've ever had on immigration. And this president's instinct, I think the media was supposed to be in there for 5 or 10 minutes, Trish, and they were in there for over 55 minutes. So this president saw a need to be transparent with the American people. He wants to see that both sides, while we differ, there's enough common ground that we can get to a solution here if we have a genuine effort to do that.
Well, it certainly sounded like that. I mean, watching that meeting, again, just as a spectator, it really felt as though there might be some room for negotiation. There might be some room for some compromise. And then, you know, fast forward, and now suddenly we're back to sound bites in the media where everybody's saying that, you know, they're digging in their heels and nothing's going to get done. And I just question really whether anything can get done when we're living in such a polarized political environment. How do you break through?
It has to get done. Trish, 72% of Americans want to get this done. Yeah. And this is, you know, we've limited the conversation. The president now has been successful just last week in limiting the scope of this. Look, Congress has failed 3 times in the last 11 years, Trish, because they've been too comprehensive. They tried to solve the illegal problem, the temporary work visa problem, and the legal immigration problem at the same time. What we're doing now is limiting this debate to just the legal immigration system, and I believe we can get to a solution. Look, I've been in big deals in the private sector, and I can tell you that this is a deal to get done. The natural symmetry is there to get this deal done between a DACA solution and ending this chain migration, and at the same time providing for the security of our country on our borders.
Senator, the wall itself, the president promised over and over and over again that Americans weren't going to pay for it. Now we're learning it's you know, going to cost a lot of money, and the money has to come from somewhere. Ultimately, who will be on the hook for the wall? Is it the American taxpayer?
Well, it's a great question. It's a great question, and what we have here is a proposal that came to us last Thursday from Senator Durbin and Senator Graham that would cost us, according to the Congressional Budget Office, over $26 billion. The wall right now, the president's asking for funding of about $18 billion. And right now, when you have the growing economy that we see right now, because the president said job one this year, this past year, was growing the economy, and he focused on three things. He focused on energy, regulations, and tax. And we've been successful moving the ball in all three of those areas, and we see the economy moving now. And so we get an economy going, we get trade deals done with Mexico and other countries, we'll find a way to fund that wall. It's a national security issue, Trish. This is not just an immigration issue, as we well know.
Yeah. So, you know, there's still some opportunity, I would think, there via these trade deals that can be renegotiated where we wouldn't be paying for the wall. You mentioned the economy, Senator, and I'm glad you brought that up because it looks as though, by all accounts, the economy is doing pretty great right now. You get GDP upwards of 3%. You've got record low unemployment. You've got wages going up, finally, by the way, because company after company after company, Walmart included in that group, is coming out and saying that they're going to give back to their employees, that they're raising wages, they're giving out bonuses. But, you know, there's still sort of a mentality among the left, if you would, right now, where they're not willing to praise the economy yet. Is that also, in your view, entirely motivated by politics?
Trish, if this were any other president getting the results that we're getting right now in the economy, we would be crowing about the results. 2 million new jobs created last year, 860 regulations pulled back, 500 people, bureaucrats, fired at the VA for non-performance, 300 fired at the Department of Education. Consumer confidence is up at a 16-year high. CEO confidence is a 20-year high. 123 companies decided to give year-end bonuses related to this tax deal. Trish, I tell you, this economy is beginning to move, and what we have to do now is focus on immigration and infrastructure and trade to keep moving the economy forward. Those are the priorities that this president has. Look, this president's agenda is working, and most people in America know that. So what you have now is an outcry from the left that, oh my goodness, look at all these distractions. The American people are not going to be fooled by that, and I'm very anxious to continue to get the truth out before them.
Senator, before I let you go, what happened in Hawaii?
Well, I don't know the details of that yet, but it just heightens the fact that, you know, somebody made a mistake somewhere, and as a member of the Armed Services Committee, I can assure you we'll get to the bottom of that this week.
Yeah, that's scary stuff because, you know, you never know what can happen in the interim between, you know, getting an alarm like that and what our response would be.
Trish, we all grew up, I grew up in a nuclear halo, with the Soviet Union and the United States in the Cold War. And I can tell you, the world's more dangerous right now than any time in my lifetime. It heightens the fact that this president, by re-engaging with the rest of the world, in fact, is making the world safer. Look what he did with NATO. He threatened to back out of NATO as a candidate. Everybody, oh my goodness, you cannot do that. You can't even threaten to do that. Well, guess what? The NATO nations are actually stepping up now and moving forward and increasing their funding for their military.
How about that?
The president is also, how about that? The president's also moved to find funding, putting pressure on Congress to find funding to increase readiness of our own troops after 8 years of disinvestment. So the agenda is working. People are noticing that. But we have a realization that we have a debt crisis and a national security crisis that he's beginning to focus on.
He's got his work cut out for him. All right, Senator Perdue, thank you so much. Good to have you here this morning.
Thanks, Trish. Tell Maria to get better.
I will.